Now we're going to show how to work with transactions. Transactions are kind of complex, but really all you need to know is that you can have several queries chained together, and if one of them fails, the whole transaction fails. But if all of them work, you can commit them all, and everything goes as planned. For example, let's say you wanted to add a username with a credit card number and an address, but they're three separate tables. You're doing three different inserts into the database. And then on top of that, you want to delete some things and modify some things, but you want to make sure that all of that works. That's what a transaction is. So for this example, you guessed it, SQL Jockey is already installed. We have our imports and we have our connection pool ready to go. Let's make some functions here. We're going to say future, and let's give this an int. We're going to say var pool and string name. Mark this as async. We're going to do pool prepare because we're going to prepare the query here. And we're just going to say now let's get the results. And we want to do the execute. And then let's go ahead and get the rows. We're going to get the first row, and then we're just simply going to return the value. So what's going on here is we have an asynchronous function, and we're just going to try and find something. So we're selecting the ID teachers field from the teachers table where name is equal to whatever the variable is. We've prepared that query, we're going to execute it, and then we're just simply going to grab the first value out of here. Now, let's go ahead and copy this. And let's make an insert function. So now we've got name and topic, and we need to change our actual code here. Say insert into teachers. And we'll set some values here. All right, so now we've got our results. We're going to execute the query, and this time we want to send a name and the topic. And then we're going to actually return the results ID. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say we want the insert ID. And finally, let's make another one, and let's call it delete. We're going to really just mess with this database here. And we want the var pool, and let's go with an int value. And from here, we're going to just say delete from teachers where ID teachers is equal to whatever we're preparing. Switch this over to value. And we're actually not going to return anything. We're just going to return null. So let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of that, because we really don't care. We just want it gone. So we're just going to execute and wait for the query. So as you can see, we've got find, insert, and delete. They all do three different things. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you've worked with databases before, you know exactly what's going on here. So now to the meat of the tutorial, and this is where things get a little interesting here. We're going to say var trans equal await. Oh, we don't have this marked as asynchronous, so that's not going to work. There we go. Oh, where were we? All right, and we're going to await the pool, and we're going to start the transaction. So what this does is it says, hey, computer, wake up and keep a list of what I'm currently working on. And we're just going to follow this with a try catch block here. So we're going to say try, and then we're going to add a catch expression here. Let's call this error. And let's do a finally. Whoops, not find, finally. All right, so now we've got our try catch block here. Now, the first thing you want to do is take care of this error. Let the user know something happened, and then let's roll back this transaction. I usually start with the error first because, well, I'm not the best coder in the world and things usually explode on me. So finally means if it worked as expected, you guessed it, we want to close the connection. Actually, I shouldn't say if it works as expected. It's going to trigger finally no matter what we do. But typically, if we got to this point, the entire program hasn't exploded. So now in our try, what we want to do here is we want to say int ID equal, and we're going to say await, and we're going to await the insert, and we're going to say pull, and we are going to insert, let's say, Zazzy. I don't know anybody named Zazzy, but why not? Zazzy is going to be teaching Dart. So we'll get the insert ID from that, and we're going to say int Zazzy. Let's call it person, actually. So I'm going to find myself in here. And last but not least, let's delete. So we're going to do pull, and we're going to get rid of myself out of the database here. And then finally, we're going to commit that transaction. So what this is going to do is actually going to do quite a bit. We're going to connect to the database. We're going to start a transaction saying, hey, keep track of everything that I'm doing. Then we're going to insert Zazzy, who's going to teach Dart. We're going to find me in the database, and we're going to delete me out of the database. If all that goes without any problems, then we're going to commit the transaction and print done. However, if there's a problem, we're going to roll back, meaning none of these changes are going to take place. Let's go ahead and look at the database super quick. You can see how we've got Chris, Heather, Carl, Bob. Ooh, there's no Brian in here. Let's add me. I'm currently teaching you Dart. I'm ID 6. Let's go ahead and apply this. And update. There we go. You can see I'm still in there. So I'm actually ID 39, sorry. Let's go ahead and run this and make sure it works. You see how it says done. Let's go back out here. You can see I'm there, but if I update it, you can see how Zazzy is now there. You can tell it's a new row because it's 40 instead of 39, and Zazzy is going to teach you Dart. That is how you work with transactions.